creating chances. I think at one point you're up 24-5 in shots on goal. How did it get away?
We just didn't put it away. It didn't. I don't think it got away as much as we didn't put it away. Breakaway. And the right guys have breakaways. Between Thompson and Greenway, I think JJ Middlestead point blank just didn't put it away.
Did you sense on the power play right after you scored, you get up 3-1, that really that was going to be the breathing spot, and you didn't really get anything on that power play?
Yeah, I mean, again, there was many opportunities for separation. The power play was one of them, but you look at the quality in the first period alone, and then the start of the second period. I think JJ another point blank shot to start the second period. There was just, Gibson was very, very good and prevented the separation that typically would be there, especially with the guys, like I said, shooting the puck. Even the Greenway breakaway early beat him 5-hole for the most part, caught a little bit of his pad, and so Tage a breakaway and then another point blank shot after the breakaway. So yeah, I mean you had more than enough opportunity to create separation. And then, after that, obviously, we did not make a lot of mistakes. We paid for the mistakes we made. It wasn't a game where we were awful and made. It's just we paid for the mistakes we made, and we couldn't obviously, with enough generated from the chance standpoint, didn't convert.
Those mistakes, Don, were really self-inflicted. So when you look at those, does it tell you that guys were just trying to do too much with the puck at certain times? Was it just frustration for not being able to score? What do you make of just
I think those were, again, it wasn't the whole game that guys did that. It was a few isolated incidents that we paid for. And yes, we've defended very well to the point where, it's typically mistakes rather than system breakdown. It's a decision that you'd probably want back by an individual or a hiccup, a blunder, however you might want to call it. But it was not an epidemic of mistakes by any means. We just again paid for them, and there wasn't a lot. They were very, very opportunistic. Obviously, the shot count is indicative of that.
Thompson said he thought his shot might have gotten through the one Gibson stops on the goal line there. Did you have any feedback from the video coaches on that?
We did, and there was no camera angle that showed us anything other than where it sits now.
From your vantage point, what happened on the first goal? The one, so it looks like it was in the corner.
Could have made a simple pass, and we got ourselves pinned to the wall when we had option to make a simpler play. So.
For a few weeks now, Tate, the production hasn't always been there for Tage, but it seems like, do you get the sense that he's trending in the right direction, starting to get further, now that he's further away from the injury, just starting to create a lot more on the game?
He is absolutely trending the right direction. What we're missing is the chemistry in that group. And even the goal, I think, the one you speak of, the second goal, we didn't go forward with the puck in neutral zone. We kind of went back, and that's a chemistry thing. Decision there, feeling it there, or not feeling it. So that's been more of the challenge than Tage is. He's doing the right things. I think probably in his own head a little bit pressing. Evident the breakaway and the chances he had. I think even the goal that was just spoke of, or the thought of potentially scoring the play tight where Gibson came down with the glove. Yeah, I think if he's feeling it, he's probably elevating it over the glove.
And conversely, with Tage producing, what in your mind is up with Skinner? He has been pretty much invisible here for a while.
Well, he's we obviously miss his production when he's on his game, and he hasn't been on his game.
In your mind, is he healthy?
Yeah, he's healthy. Yeah.
The Krebs line had a terrific first period, their best line on the ice. Just what was working for them early on?
Great energy. Their belief system is very strong. They're very hungry. They're dialed in on creating their next opportunity and jumping on their next opportunity. I think their mindset's been really very strong. And Peyton's, he's earned his way up, which is exactly what we wanted from the coaching side. We have a very talented guy there that is building a foundation of how to play the game the right way, and all that skill that we know he has and has had in his previous portions of his career is coming back, and now it's getting him in different situations, and thought they were great energy.
John, you've hit some good goalies over the past stretch. You've had some tough games and 4-0 losses, and something different has gone wrong, whether it's not going to the front of the net or getting stopped by a good goalie. What has been the inconsistency in unable to string together good and to see success and wins? It just seems to have been something that's been, as you've been riding these peaks and valleys.
Yeah, I just think, John, guys are. This entire season is new territory for lots of guys with different expectations and different pressure, and I think dealing with it, not being tight, dealing with it, breathing. I just mentioned the Krebs line, and you get a group of young guys, and they're fearless. Like, everything's an opportunity. The expectations on those guys is probably minimal, right? And so they're free to go, and they run. And I think our guys that have moved up and helped move this group up feel a little bit more pressure and a little bit more obligation, and it's learning to deal with that, and and let it go enough that they can breathe, and their talents and skill can take over, trusting that.
Yeah, are you surprised though that you're 55 games in, haven't your veteran quote-unquote guys learned a little about how to deal with that at this point?
I watched, this will never go away. It's never going to go away. You ride the edge all the time, and I'll give you an example. Last night, watching the outdoor game, there's an aerial pass made, easily picked up out of the air, and the game's over. Panarin scores the goal, and it's a team fight for a playoff spot. And you know that every point matters for that team. And flip the channel again, and I'm watching Pittsburgh on a power play in a 1-1 game, and it's the same thing. An aerial pass picked off, and they lose the game. That's a veteran team in Pittsburgh, and obviously a veteran team in the New York Islanders. And it's part of the game is more pressure, and how do players operate under it. And that's that is never going to go away. I think you got to manage it better than the team you're playing against. And tonight, as an example, you got to score more. I mean, you generated enough to score and outscore and to win that game. So we can divide that game up 50 different ways. The fact is, you had more than enough opportunity to win a game through just generating your scoring chances. But you're always, teams that win Stanley Cups, they outscore their mistakes. It's not that they don't make mistakes. It's not that they don't feel pressure, turn pucks over, make poor decisions. They outscore them.
You mentioned a couple weeks ago you thought guys had kind of moved beyond the pressure, they were handling it better. Well, why do you think it's kind of creeped back in?
Well, I mean, we had lots of pressure the other night. How did we do? Right, minute and a half left in the game, we're down, pull a goalie and score, tied up, and then we win it. So we handled pressure that night. I don't think we I think we had a couple guys that were tight. I think we generated a lot, which means we didn't press before we got it. We just weren't as sharp around the net. So John was asking me overall on the scoring. I think the scoring final touch, yes, guys are, maybe pressure's not the right word for that. Trust might be, when you're on a breakaway that you don't have to pick a spot and be the perfect spot. And I think guys are a little tight there when it comes to scoring. But again, you go immediately to 2 nights ago. We had the afternoon in Minnesota, plenty of pressure on us down the stretch, and the guys responded very well.
With all due respect, wasn't the point of last season to be part of the playoff rush, to push, to have them learn what it took to be in a playoff race? And yet they haven't learned that, or have they learned that?
This is a process, so they're in the process of learning it. Is the obvious. You would hope they would have learned it, right? And you'd hope, and I can remember us talking last year. You can't forecast. I'm not in the forecast business. You wanted me to forecast this season back then, and there's too many elements throughout the league. Injuries being one of them, but there's just too many elements, and you're in the middle of this process. And our responsibility is to make sure we're getting better. So when we get through this, we're going to have a better product by going through any adversity, any challenge. And the good indicator for us is we're getting better in the areas we've targeted that we needed to get better in from last year. Now,
It's
you
not
know, the
translating
scoring,
wins, though, John.
the scoring, obviously, John. I mean, why not?
Well, I mean, it's
John,
that's why we're here.
John, we can state the obvious, and that's another obvious. It's all about winning at the end of the day. But there's areas that were targeted that we needed to progress in. We've gotten a lot better in those areas, and obviously the numbers show. What's not there is what we know this team, and we've come to know this team as being very good at scoring. Right? It's all going to come back at some point, and the foundation's going to be stronger.
Does the mindset need to change though? I mean, given what you just said to John, I know the team is different, but today felt a little bit like a game last year, and a lot of times last year you guys did outscore your mistakes, but that has not been a consistent theme this year. So if it's not a consistent theme, does the mindset or the approach need to change if that's not something that can be done, I guess, as easy as it once was?
The psyche might need to change. I don't think the mindset or the approach needs to change. The psyche. That's feeling a little bit better, you know, a little bit better about your scoring touch. And obviously that goes with scoring. You know that goal scorers and, you know, hitters in baseball, and it's a feel thing. And the guys that I mentioned that had chances tonight, you know, and we know they can do better. And again, it's you know, so it's more of a psyche thing. I don't think it's a mindset or a different approach.
Thanks.
Yeah.